Welcome, everyone, to what is going to actually be a term-by-term Kepler open house. So we're going to have one of these every term. So if you have any questions or wanted to know about more of our programming, please look for these in the future. So one of the things that we want to talk about is the certificates. So, we've got the diploma program, and there's 2 levels to the diploma program. But what we also want people to know is that there are certificates as well. And these certificates can be taken as a grouping that will allow you to become more of an expert in a particular area. We started with our fundamentals, of course, our Natal Certificate, which has 4 different levels to it. We have a fundamental movement and forecasting, which is really prediction, so this is like moving the chart forward in different ways, many different ways, actually, from, very traditional to very modern. So there's lots of courses that you can take on movement and forecasting prediction. We have counseling and relationships, and you can piece together some of these certificates, like the courses that you want to take that you think are going to be relevant to the work that you want to do in the astrological community. We also have Astro Mapping, which is lots of fun, of course. It's, astrocartography and local space. Putting that together and actually becoming more of an expert in that area, if that's something that you want in your toolkit. Indian astrology, our Indian program is really developing. So we're getting lots more courses that are coming into the Indian astrology classes. There are also some classes that you can take just if you want to dip your toe in and go, I wonder what this Indian astrology is all about. So there's a couple of classes that are available that are only 5 weeks. You can try them out, see if it's something that you want to take more classes on and become, more of an expert in that area. We also have alternative traditions, which is really fantastic. Actually, I was just looking at the development of this. It's just, exploded with different techniques. So we've got esoteric, we've got evolutionary, Hellenistic, medieval, and Indian astrology that is in the alternative tradition certificate. So you can mix and match. Oh, I want to learn, a little more about esoteric or evolutionary, or maybe Uranian has been something that's been on your mind, and you want to actually put a certificate together. Of course, when you have so many different kinds of astrology, an alternative tradition certificate is going to be more of a breadth of knowledge as opposed to a depth of knowledge, which, counseling and relationships, that's going to be a depth of knowledge. But in alternative, it's going to give you that wide range of being able to, dip your toe into all of these different types of astrologies, and maybe find something that you really love and want to get more depth of knowledge in. We have a new medical astrology certificate that we've been developing. We have 3 main teachers in that, but we are adding to that medical astrology certificate. The 3 main teachers are Lynn Bell, William Morris, and Marcos Patchett. Very, so you've got some herbalism. There's some, really great areas of medical astrology. Again, that's like a really wide breadth of knowledge. And then as you move more and more into medical astrology, you will get, more of a depth of knowledge there as well. And the final one I want to talk about on the certificate list here is professional development. So this is something that people who maybe you are already, a professional astrologer. Maybe you are starting to get out there and you've hung your shingle out and you've started doing client work, or you're just developing your client work. Professional development has everything from how to do YouTubes, writing, astropreneurship, the business of astrology. So there's lots of different things in professional development where you can take your business to the next level. So it's a lot of fun. There's lots of different teachers and programs that run in there as well. Do we have any questions, Vanessa or Denise?
Yes, we do have a question. We have a question, which is, what do you know about the demographics of your students? Do most have college degrees from other schools? What is the typical age?
Well, the typical age really, it's very wide. Actually, we have from, young budding astrologers all the way through to maybe somebody who is taking this as, a second career, into their, the older part of, the 50s and 60s and whatnot. So we really have a breadth of students, and we actually have everything from PhDs to somebody who's just coming out of, this is like their career. They're coming out of high school and they're looking at, what do I want to do in life? And they're starting our program with no knowledge of working astrology at all. I've taught 101, the very beginning natal program that you come into the diploma program with for many years. And, we literally had PhDs in there. We had full astrologers, and we had people who just had never even really looked at astrology other than maybe their sun sign. And they were like, well, this is really interesting. I want to get into a course and learn more about this. The foundationals, the fundamentals that are taught are especially in 101, even people who have been a practicing counseling astrologer for many years come in and take that class, because there are so many holes that you have when perhaps you're learning on your own, or you've taken a course here and taken a course there, but you haven't really put the whole thing together from beginning to end, filling all those holes about being your own astrologer. And that's really what we do at Kepler, is we help you develop who you are as an astrologer. It's more about not, running to the internet and going, oh, what does that mean? And what does this mean? It's really learning those fundamentals that will allow you to really be able to be your own astrologer and understand where that information is coming from. And even the historical notes on that, because, we have lots of information that has been unearthed that help us understand our astrology even more.
Can I also add to that, Tamara?
Please, yes.
When I was a student, so I went to the program, as did Vanessa. And when I was a student, I found that there was like a pretty wide range of people in my class. So that was like 7 years ago, I think. But there definitely were people who were in their 20s, people in their 30s, all the way up to 50s. And that was kind of where I had stopped. So I don't know beyond, but my impression was that it was a pretty wide range of age groups. Carol Tebbs is here, by the way. Carol Tebbs is
yes.
one of our,
I am blocked to show my picture, but I'm not that good looking anyway, like you guys.
I just unblocked you. So you will be able to show your screen now. There
Okay.
you are. Hello.
Okay.
Hi, Carol.
Hello.
So Carol teaches both in our fundamentals, and she teaches in our movement and forecasting, the prediction end. She has a very large depth of knowledge. Carol.
That is to say, I've been around a while. But I did want to talk about, there are a lot of astrologers out there who have been practicing astrology that can come in and get a certificate. Maybe you don't want the whole diploma. And Tamara's already spoken about our different certificates. Plus we have professional development. That's for advanced. But I want to talk about one class that people who are involved in reading charts right now, the rectification class, which is a lot of people. Now that we're on the internet and we're Zooming worldwide, we have more and more clients who do not have a birth time, or they're not sure of what their birth time is. And we know that without birth time, we don't have angles and we don't have houses, or at least accurate houses. So that is a class that is, it assumes that you already know the basics of astrology, the fundamentals. It's not a beginning class, it's an advanced one. But I'm speaking to those of you who may be more experienced and are not starting at go in our program. So there are a lot of great electives out there too for you people. I'll turn it back to you, Tamara, so you can talk about starting from go.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
There was another question that I think is kind of relevant. And it was whether, oh my gosh, I just answered the question, then it must have disappeared. But I think the question was whether the certificates add up to the diploma. And I answered it that certain certificates are required, or certain courses within the certificates are required for the diploma, and then there are other electives required. But maybe you want to add on to that sort of for the whole group.
Well, I can add on to particularly the fundamental certificate absolutely is required. You have to take that certificate if you're going for the diploma. Now, we do have challenge exams for those beginning classes. If you are already knowledgeable about astrology, if on the homepage, and Tamara can talk more about this, but there are practice exams, and if you can pass that at I think 95%, you can challenge the class. That's if you're more advanced. However, there are in the movement certificate, the courses required for the diploma does not totally fill out a certificate. You would have to take an additional elective class to get the certificate.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're in the diploma program, you're taking a little bit from everything. So you've got to have your fundamentals. That's the one thing that you have to take the 4 levels on. Then you've got certain courses that you take in movement forecasting prediction. But if you want a movement forecasting prediction certificate that says, hey, I have a depth of knowledge in this area, then you'll add to that. And some people, what they do is they go through the diploma program and they take what is required, a couple from each of these that make up the diploma program. And then they'll come back and they'll be, okay, I want a depth of knowledge in this area, or I want, a depth of knowledge in that area. And then they go back into that section and they, acquire more knowledge by taking more classes that fill out a certificate that gives them this depth of knowledge in the area. Absolutely. So these are some of the courses that are required in the diploma program. And here we have the professional development certificate, or diploma, I should say, which is an additional diploma. This is after you've received your regular diploma and you're, going further, or you can do these courses, we'll say a la carte. If you have a particular area that you want more knowledge on, like the chart mechanics, the astronomy for astrologers, then you will come back and you can take these classes, I should say, as long as you have passed the assessment testing that allows you to take classes sporadically. Here is the professional practitioner's diploma, and it, as you can see, is even more in depth. So these, just as the certificate becomes more in depth, as you take diplomas and you get into the higher level of diploma, like the professional practitioner's diploma, you see that there's more in-depth knowledge in those. So when you start practicing out in the world, or you you are saying, well, this is what I'm specializing in, this is going to help you, become, an expert in those areas. Now, spring courses are open for registration. So if anyone has any questions or any interest in the spring courses, you can go to our website and click on the spring courses. It'll tell you who's teaching the course and when it starts and how long the different courses are. We do have 10-week and 5-week classes, by the way. So the 10-week classes are obviously more in depth. They are the core courses. That's what we call them, core courses. It's kind of like core courses mean these are the must-haves. These are the things that you really need to understand astrology. And then we have 5-week classes. Sometimes a core class has been broken into 2 portions. An A and a B kind of thing, where you get one level of knowledge and then you take the next level of knowledge to, again, become more of an expert in that area. And the rectification is one of those classes that you can take. I think the first part, what is it, up to 6 hours, and then it's a 24-hour search on the next.
Right. That's correct.
Yeah, exactly. So, it gives you 24-hour search. I mean, that's a big search. You don't want to become an expert in that because you don't want everybody coming to you for 24-hour searches, but definitely on the 6-hour searches. What a great toolkit to have. Every time you do an astrology session with someone, you should be able to do some level of a rectification before you even start that consult with them, so that the chart is working, right, Carol?
Yes, basically for people who are astrologers already, just using mental math with solar arc, you can ask about 3 questions, moving, when does a planet arc to the midheaven or to the ascendant, or the ascendant to the planet, and so forth, to confirm, does this chart works? Usually that's a few questions with a client, 5 minutes, and you can say, okay, I can work with this chart. I'm confident that it's good.
Yeah. One thing I didn't mention, actually, I think Denise did mention that she is a graduate also of our program here, as well as the vice chair. And also Vanessa is as well.
Yes.
And Vanessa is a teacher in our 101. So, this is what we're teaching isn't just, it's not just light teaching. This is teaching for life. This is a career for you, whether you want to be a teacher or a consulting astrologer, or be involved in the actual astrology community. So that's what we do at Kepler is, we make this something that carries a lot of meaning in your life, that you're going to do something with. I mean, we do have classes, of course, for hobbyists as well. People who are just dipping their toe in and they want to try out, they want to, get to know more. We do have that as well, but we do want you to know that our diploma courses and our certificate courses are they're meaty, they're real in-depth courses. You put work in, there's reading, there's quizzes, there's testing. We test every single course we have has testing in it. So, yes, of course, we love hobbyist astrologers who want to learn a little bit about astrology, but really what we are looking for here are people who want to make this a part of their life and make it a part of their profession, really. And here's another thing that I wanted to mention as I was thinking about this, that you can marry this up with other modalities very well. I know Vanessa does that. I know many astrologers who do other things in the arts, whether it's massage therapy and, psychological work, different things that they're doing, and they're marrying that with this tool, because of course it's an incredible tool that holds a lot of depth and helps us understand who we are as human beings and our character, and understand life events and be able to make sense of them. So, that's really what we're doing here at Kepler. So I hope to see everyone that's here in some spring courses, of course. And guess what? We have go ahead, Denise.
Well,
Sorry.
there was another question, and I think Carol would be really well equipped to answer this. What courses are required for the movement certificate?
110, 111A, and you have a choice of 112A or 113A.
So Carol, what does that mean? 110, what is that course about?
110 is the basic movement techniques. Solar arc directions, secondary progression, outer planet transits, eclipses, and so on.
And then-
Declination, yeah.
And then
Your basics.
111 is going deeper. And then
111A is deeper. What it is built upon, if you don't take any other class, I figured you have to at least know how to do a solar arc, not a solar arc, excuse me, a solar return. You will
Yeah.
have clients who will ask for that.
Yeah.
We have other classes that will go in further depth on it, but I have 1 week on it. You need at least 1 week of mundane astrology. You need another week at least of the basics of electional astrology, picking a good date to get married, for instance.
Yeah.
And then you need to at least know how to work the 90-degree dial of symmetrical astrology. So those are advanced techniques. And then there are specialized 5-week classes that go into further depth.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. We will provide you with, like Carol provides you with this breadth of knowledge. Like you need to know what these things are and how to use them. And then we do provide classes that go more in depth. We do have coming up, I believe it's in the summer, we have a class on just on solar returns. So, you know, by
Exactly.
Shu Yap, she's going to be doing a class on just on solar returns. So you get the knowledge, the breadth of knowledge, and then you can look at, well, what am I really interested in using and having in my toolkit for my own work that you do, whether that's research, teaching, whether that's consulting, however you're going to use your knowledge.
Mhm.
The other thing I wanted to say is that we now have what we call a placement quiz. So let's say you are not enrolled in the diploma program, but there's a certificate that you want to take. And you're like, I mean, I want to be successful. You know, you don't want to get in there and like you're over your head. So what we've developed is a placement quiz where it assesses your skill at these different levels and wherever your skill stops. So if you get it, you know, you get the first one and you get the second one, and then you don't make it through the third one, then you know, okay, this is where I'm at. This is the level I'm at, and I need to shore up my knowledge. Or if you make it through enough of the quizzes to be able to go directly into the certificate and be successful.
By the way, they're free.
They are free. Yes, Carol, absolutely. They're there for you to test and to have fun with and see how far you get as well. Now, these courses are not our challenge tests, but they will give you a good idea as to whether or not you're going to pass a challenge test. So if you're going to buy a challenge test and say, okay, I want to challenge the 101, because you know what, I've been a working astrologer for, 5 years or 3 years or 2 years. And you're like, I don't want to take 101. I want to go right into 102. Then you first of all take your assessment test. If you pass the assessment test at 95%, then you know that when you buy this challenge test, you have a good chance of passing it. I won't say that you're going to pass it with flying colors, but you have a good chance of doing that if you have passed that assessment test. What the difference is in a challenge test is not only do you have the quiz format, which tests the technical knowledge, but then you have synthesis. So you're putting things together, that in an essay style, and someone's actually marking that essay style. So those things are available. We have these 2 challenge tests that you can take if you've got some knowledge and you want to go further into the testing, into the classes.
There's a question. When does the next 101 fundamentals begin?
Spring. So it actually, what is the date? Is it, I should have written that down. Can someone pop on and take a look? Oh, Carol's going to get that.
The term opens on April 3rd, and the first live class is on Sunday, April 10th.
Fantastic. So sign up right away and, get into the class and start to look around.
And I'll see you there.
Yeah, you'll see Vanessa there for sure. Fantastic. We did want to talk a little bit about the other option that we have, And you're going to see quite a bit more coming out from Kepler on the workshop area. So we've got Cameron Allen, who is doing a monthly workshop series. This is fantastic. You know, Cameron is not only is he an astrologer, but he's an herbalist and a well-trained herbalist. He's a health consultant. And what he's bringing into this workshop series, you know, which is so reasonably priced. If you just take a look at that, at the cost there, it's just so reasonably priced to, be a part of this community that he's creating. He does yoga, and he brings mindfulness and, meditative aspects into the work that he's doing. And it's a monthly workshop, which means he's covering all of the different signs as well. So, he's starting with Aries and, moving all the way through to Pisces. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. He's such a personable guy, such a great guy. So, sign up for that workshop. I think that's going to be great. And it's just coming up here. Actually, it started today. But what I will tell you is, even if you miss today, you can sign up and all the recording will be there, all of his material behind the scenes. And, any discussions that he's had and whatnot is still there for you. So you're not going to miss out. You'll still be able to get that recording and ask questions and whatnot. We also have another workshop from Robert Glasscock, who has been an astrologer with us on workshops for many, many, many years. He's an incredible astrologer himself, and he is doing a really fun workshop on return to the flesh, reincarnation, and astrology. And I think he's doing this because a lot of people have asked for it. People are really curious. They want to know, can we use the chart and figure this kind of stuff out? So he's going to be answering some of those questions. And we have Michael Bartlett, who is an esoteric astrologer, who brings that sort of esoteric level to the work that he does. An incredible astrologer, again, really, really great guy. He's doing opportunities for awakenings. So that is a must do. You must check that out and see what he's offering there. And I have to tell you, we are super excited about our astrology day. Denise, do you have another question?
You know what? There are some other questions that are coming up, but if you want to talk about astrology day, we can do a little question after, session after that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Everybody is so excited about this. Our lineup is absolutely incredible. Michael Bartlett, Maurice Fernandez, Omari Martin, Gary Christensen, and on and on. These astrologers are going to take their own personal approach. When they look at a chart, how do they see that chart? How do they get into that chart? And they're going to show us that. They're going to talk about it. They're going to interpret the charts of influential astrologers that mean something in their area of expertise. All of these astrologers are experts in different kinds of astrology. And that's what these guys are going to bring to the table here. Even, Demetra George, Gary Gomes. It's going to be a fantastic day. It is a free community webinar. So all you have to do is sign up. It's free.
Can I add to that? Also, some of the panelists on Astrology are our own teachers, like
Yes.
Omar Martin, who's the chair of our board and also one of our instructors, Bruce Schofield, one of our longtime instructors, Michael Bartlett, one of our instructors and also a board member, Gary Gomes, one of our longtime instructors, and we also have Ann Orderly. Kenneth Miller. Like so many of the people that you might encounter on Astrology Day, you also would encounter if you took a course or a workshop here at Kepler.
Yes, Anne actually is joining the faculty and will be teaching our prediction movement practicum. So that's really super exciting. She's going to start teaching that, and she's going to be teaching it on a regular basis. She's going to start teaching that in the summer. So we're super excited about that as well, about Anne joining our faculty. So, yeah. And did you have some questions before we
There have been some questions. There are a couple of questions in the chat, and then I see there are some in the Q&A, so maybe I'll read the chat ones. And Vanessa, do you want to do the Q&A after?
Whatever, however you want to do it.
One question that came up was, what if you're super interested but can only do it virtually and need financial help? So virtually I can answer, the whole thing is virtual, so I'm not sure if that's what you meant, but Tamara, do you want to talk about our financial aid programs or our scholarship programs?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, and like you said, Denise, we are completely virtual. It's all done over Zoom. We have absolutely fantastic classrooms that are built that not only house the information from the teachers, they house reading material, discussion forums, quizzes. The backbone of the platform that we use for our teaching program is phenomenal. So it is all virtual. It's fantastic. Virtual, but live, like you still get live, live classmates and live teachers. Unlike, when you have a webinar and you guys can only participate, sort of through the chat and the Q&A. In our classrooms, we all turn our cameras on, we all say hello, and you get that up close and personal relationship started with your classmates, your peers, and your teachers. And the second part of that was scholarships. Do we have scholarships? Yes, we have a couple of different kinds of scholarships. We actually have diversity scholarships that will actually help somebody through through a whole program. So let's say, you wanted to do the Natal Certificate, then that funding will go towards that whole Natal Certificate for you. Now, diversity scholarships only happen in the fall. So if you're interested in financial help and you're of a diverse community, then you can go onto our website and click on scholarships and diversity scholarships, fill out the paperwork, send it in to us. It goes into, we actually have a committee of diverse people for diverse people, and they look at all of these applications, and and then of course people are chosen. And we have a Maggie now Bandian Scholarship, which is something that rolls every term, and it doesn't pay for the whole thing, but it will help you pay for some of the class costs and sometimes books and different things that you need. And again, it's the same thing. You're going to go online and you're going to fill out the application and send it in, and then they're looked at every single term. Any more questions?
There was one question in the chat. I think this may be something that needs to be answered personally, but in general, if people who have already started taking classes at Kepler have questions about certificates that they may have received, I guess the person to contact would be Donna. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. Donna can help them out with that. Actually, you can even just reach out to whoever your teacher is if you want to, and they'll direct you to the right person if they can't help you out. But absolutely. Yep.
And Donna's information is on our website. Is that right?
It sure is. Director of Operations, Donna Young.
And what happens if somebody started a class a while ago and never finished it? Can they come back in and finish it again, or do they need to start over? How does that work at Kepler?
Okay, so if you take a class and you are not able to make it through that first term, you can apply to go into the next term. And continue on your education, continue on that class until you finish it in the next term. Now, let's say you weren't able to do that and you couldn't accomplish it within those 2 terms. Then you still have access to your material for 3 years. If you want the credit for it, you will have to retake that class if you have to take it for a 3rd time. But you do have that class material for 3 years where you can, and this is what I would probably do if I was struggling to finish the material, then I would do as much of it as I could before I, took that class again. And same with if you are in a class and you're just not able to finish the material, keep working on the material so that when you sign up the second time, you've got all this material ready, to hand in. Because we know that life happens. We know that people are, they have job changes or house changes and children and other types of careers that they're working on. So we know that you're busy, and you just have to, be in contact with your teacher and let them know what's going on, and let them help you be successful.
So there's a couple of questions here. One of them is, how much does the 101 challenge test cost? And I might add to that question, can you tell people where to find it?
So it is on the website, and it is $50 to do a challenge test. So it's not unreasonable.
And the second question here is, can you please tell us about the diploma Kepler College provides, and what is best for not a beginner astrologist?
What is best for somebody who
what if you're not a beginner, would you recommend going for certificates maybe, or going for the whole diploma, or how would you go about it if you already have a bunch of astrology under your belt, but maybe you want to specialize or take it further? Or
so the first thing I would do is take the assessment testing, because I'd want to know where I'm at and if there's any holes I need to fill. And if there's holes that you need to fill, it doesn't mean that you need to fill it with us. We would love you to take our classes and fill those holes, but you can study and fill those holes so that you can go into certificates. And then again, the certificates are really about what you're interested in. What is it that you want to do with your astrology, and where do you want to take it? So if you're already a practicing astrologer and, you've already got a clientele, and you want to look at those certificates and say, okay, what tools are going to enhance my professional toolkit? And that's where I would go with that. Yes, Carol.
I would add that the Kepler College diploma is the gold standard for 25 years in the astrology community.
Yes. So, if you test out of 101 and 102 and you head into 103, and 103 is obviously, these are graduated in difficulty, in breadth of knowledge and depth of knowledge. So yes, I mean, getting a diploma from Kepler, it holds a lot of weight in the community. It is a community unto itself. That's the other thing that we really should say about Kepler, is that, you go to a conference and, look for the Kepler table, because that's where all your pals are going to be. That's where your family is. That's what we create here at Kepler is, a feeling of belonging to a community.
I might add, our president is a Kepler College degree graduate, bachelor's degree graduate.
I am, yes. Thank you, Carol.
But I would add to that, just as someone who's gone through the entire program, there are many very experienced astrologers who start with 101 and go all the way through. And they find that they really do get a lot out of even the fundamentals classes, because you may, have a certain amount of knowledge and practice, but it's a very deep class, and it's very, it really goes down to the bones, where you never have to look anything up ever again. You can, I know that even teaching that class, I get something out of it every single time I go back into that material. And if you do go through the entire diploma program, you're not a joke. I mean, you can really knock around a chart with the best of anybody in the world.
Absolutely. Very good.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Vanessa, do you think you could say a little bit about what you teach in 101 or what's taught in 102 and 103, just so people have an idea of what's covered?
Well, I can speak to 101, and maybe Tamara can speak to some of the other classes, but 101 strips astrology down to the absolute bones of it. We start with element, polarity, and mode. We go through all of the signs, the houses, the aspects, building on everything as you go, so that each layer makes sense. We go into the history of it. None of it is random. It's not like, oh, why is the 8th house like the unfortunate house or what, you know, there's a reason. And we go into that so that there's a very deep understanding. It's extremely comprehensive and extremely, I don't know what a good word would be, but it's deep and it's full, and it's you know, there's a lot of work in that course, but you will come out of it with a very, very, very solid understanding, and which you can take into anything. Then you can take into, you know, maybe the medical astrology certificate, or maybe, you know, you want to go into counseling. And, you know, there's a lot of people who go into that course who are in the counseling professions or therapists, and they are starting to use astrology as a way to understand what someone needs, or, you know, how they operate, what's the hardwiring of a client, you know, even if you're not primarily an astrologer. So it really gives a lot of tools for many different kinds of professional applications. But as someone who's gone through it, and I know Denise has gone through it, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Any other?
And I don't know if you want to talk about, yeah, the classes that are in the foundation year after that.
I'll talk about 102 briefly. The old book that was everything you know about life you learned in kindergarten, well, that's in astrology, it's 101, planet signs, houses, aspects. In the other classes that follow, we have the nuances added to telling more about signs, telling more about planets, giving more nuances, dignities, abilities, you know, aspects in terms of configurations and other nuances like that that add interpretive detail. And then we get into interpretation, blending those bits of information into a narrative that can be expressed in English to someone else, let's say a potential client, not in astrologies, but in English.
Another question that sort of has come up in the chat box is someone's asking, okay, I've taken a couple of classes, kind of familiar with some of the people here at Kepler, but I haven't been here for a while and I want to come back. Like, where do I start? You know, and I answered that by saying, check out our website. We have a lot of great offerings there, but maybe somebody else on the panel has a better or more complete answer to that question.
I can add
Go ahead.
a thought, particularly in our 101 and 102 classes. Our students often, or at least some of them, choose to spread over a second term. And we allow them to do that, you know, if they have requested it. And, you know, it's getting the feet on the ground. So if you got an incomplete in the first class, you would have to contact the instructor who taught that class to see if they would allow you to come back in to finish that course. I think we leave that up to the instructor. Tamara, has that been modified or?
No, it's pretty much the same. I mean, it depends on how far out you are. If you're just coming back into the next term, then obviously, and maybe you only have a couple things to finish, then yeah, they'll let you just finish that and move on. If there's a lot that hasn't been completed, then they are going to ask you to move into the second, and do the full class again. You don't have to do all the homework again. You can say, okay, I got from, week 1 to week 6 done, and then, you join in at week 6. But there's that community aspect of it and the discussion forums. So even if you do get a bunch of done in the first term, maybe you just want to try it again and do it again, or at least stay up on the discussion forums so that you become a part of that community.
Mhm.
The discussion forums are really so that you can speak the language. Most of us in our family life do not necessarily get to speak this language, and it is a very complex language all unto itself. So discussion forums and classes allow you to practice speaking. It's like immersing yourself into a culture and learning that language by speaking the language. Is so much easier than just the technical aspect of it. So yeah, and if it's further out than that, let's say it was a couple of terms ago, then you're going to have to contact the teacher and see if how much do you actually have left to complete, and a decision will be made from there. And Donna can also help with that. Really, if you have any questions about that, reaching out to the registrar, who is the person that signed you into the class. She has her, she knows exactly who to go to and what to say. So her email is just registrar@KeplerCollege.org. So you can absolutely reach out to the registrar. Her name is Jeannie. And she is very knowledgeable about what's going on inside of Kepler, and she will help direct you for sure.
And what about like electives? Like a person can take an elective if they are, have had a little bit here and there and really want to take a class. They could take dignities. Somebody had asked earlier if Charlie was going to be teaching his dignities.
Yeah.
Again, which I answered yes, but I don't know when he's teaching it. Do you know, Tamara, when Charlie's teaching that?
Charlie teaches them every other term. So so you'll have to check the website. I believe he is teaching in the spring, but just double check the website to see if he's teaching or if it's going to be the summer. Oh, go ahead, Carol. Do you know?
Do we have a planning calendar on the homepage where they can plan for the year?
Yeah, yes, there is actually. You can click on the planning calendar. It'll take you out, and you can take a look at all of the courses in their lineup and decide, map yourself out what you want to take. Now, if you are, if you've got like dribs and drabs of classes, make sure you take the assessment testing so that you do know where you stand when you go into that certificate. And if you feel like you're, you just don't have enough knowledge or you're not sure, then again, get in touch with the registrar. She'll get in touch with the teacher, and, a conversation will be had where, where you can be successful when you go into those individual courses. Because that's the whole deal. You don't want to go in and then feel like you're over your head. So that's why we've designed those assessment testing. And that's why, you should ask those questions when you're entering into some of those classes for sure.
I wonder if you might say something about how long it takes to go through the diploma program.
Well, it's about 4 years here. Hey, Carol, if you're at a steady pace, it's about 4 years. Yeah.
You could do it in 3 if you take summers, but
yeah. Yep. And in the summers, we only have 5-week classes. We do not have the 10-week classes. So you can catch up with a couple of 5-week classes and, and bang it out in 3 if you want to, or you can stretch it out and, and do your 4 years. I think we allow it to go up to 5. I think that's what we decided was 5 years. So you can take your time through it. You don't want to miss out too many terms if you're going through it, because then sometimes you feel a little lost and you don't have that sort of community or peer level of connection.
There is something really nice about going through the courses with a particular group of people, which was my experience. So, you know, if you kind of start at the beginning, which I did, and you move through it, you're kind of with the same people for a pretty long time. And then you can sort of talk to each other and make relationships kind of on the side, which is really a nice thing.
And study and practice together too. Hey, Denise.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely did that.
Yeah.
And the assessment test is on the website. Where is that, Tamara? Where does somebody find the assessment test?
Yeah, actually, if you go to the home page, it's the first tile. It's assessment testing, and it has a bunch of, was it right here? Yeah, it actually looks like this, exactly this tile on the home page. So you just click on it and it's free. So you click on sign up and it takes you right out into Moodle. Then if you haven't got a dashboard, it will create a whole new dashboard for you where you will house all the courses and all the workshops that you take with us.
I'm going to type into the chat box the registrar information. So that was just registrar@KeplerCollege.org. Okay.
.org. Yeah.
I'm going to put that in the chat
Yes.
box for people.
Yes, that's fantastic. Thanks, Denise.
Yeah, somebody asked for that actually, so I can't take credit for that.
Great. You know, one of the things I want to leave you guys with as well is that, you know, we do webinars. They're free webinars for the community, by the community. You know, these are all astrologers that, all astrologers that are, you know, in their particular area of expertise, and they want to share with the community a little bit of their knowledge. So there's free webinars that we house every month. Sometimes we have 2 a month. And here we have Petra, who does gardening by the moon. This is something brand new for us. It's a free webinar, and I think it's going to be quite exciting. She's going to do a series of them. So sign up and see what she's doing when she's gardening by the moon. Hey, we're coming into spring, or at least, you know, fingers crossed. I've still got snow up here, but I'm hoping for spring shortly. So this is when you want to start gardening by the moon. You want to use those phases to get the best crop of flowers or vegetables and fruits that you can. So join us on our webinars. And again, it's so simple. You go to our webinar to our website, you go to webinars, and the free webinars are there. You click, you sign up, you're immediately logged into the login information. And when that comes up, they'll send you a message to say, hey, don't forget about the webinar. And away you go. You're in the community, and you get all that free knowledge.
Another benefit of the webinar, and I don't know if it's true of this particular one, but a lot of our, you know, instructors do give webinars or workshops, so you can take that, get like a little taste, like if you're not quite sure, and then for more in-depth instruction can take a full course.
Yeah, even just to get to know our teachers. Lots of our teachers do webinars, like Denise said, and it allows you to get to know them a little bit. If you haven't heard about them through the community, then, you know, you get to hear their teaching style, and you know, and how they're going to teach you the knowledge that they carry in their being.